In today's lesson, we'll be learning about slope. In a previous lesson, we learned that slope is the same thing as rate of change. However, slope refers to the steepness of a line. To determine the slope of a line, you need to draw a right triangle beneath this line. Rise refers to the height of this triangle, and run refers to the base of this triangle. The equation for slope is rise over run. Before we begin, I'm going to show you a little shortcut. If a line is pointing upwards, in other words, if you're running uphill, the slope must be positive. If your line is pointing downwards, in other words, if you're running downhill, your slope must be negative. In our first example, we need to find the slope of this green line. I want you to take a minute and look at the shape of this green line. Is it pointing upwards or is it pointing downwards? It is definitely pointing downwards, which means it must have a negative slope. To determine slope, we need to draw a right triangle underneath this green line. I can draw one over here. I can draw one here as well. I can even draw one over here. The point is, I can draw a triangle anywhere underneath this line. I'm going to draw my triangle over here. The rise would be the height of the triangle, while the run would be the base of the triangle. The rise occurs between the numbers 20 and the numbers 40, which means the rise is 20. Meanwhile, the run occurs between this number 0 and the number 3, which means the run is going to be 3. The equation for slope is rise over run. We already know the rise is 20 and the run was 3. I can simplify this by taking the numerator and dividing it by the denominator. In other words, 20 divided by 3, and that rounds to give me 6.7. If you recall, the line was pointing downwards, which meant it had to have a negative slope. So we need to add a negative sign in front of 6.7. So the slope is actually negative 6.7.